Hello friends, today I would proceed further with the programming concepts, and I am going to teach you today as to how to read a declaration, because most of you have an issue that you don't know how to read a declaration statement. Probably when you learned C language long back, you have not been told the technique to read the declaration. Until unless you learn that technique, to that extent I think understanding the programs would become difficult. Secondly, through these concepts of declaration reading, I will also introduce pointers, and I will tell you as to what is the main role played by a pointer. That is what this video is going to teach you about: how to read a declaration statement, and then the basics of pointers. That is what this video is going to tell you about. What is it, sir? Declaration statement? What is it? We know how to read it, you may tell. Notice it. In case I have a declaration statement like this, if I have a declaration statement like this, if I will ask a student to read this, 99 out of 100 students will read it as int p, which is a mistake. You should not read it as int p. That is not the way in which a declaration statement has to be read. Always you should begin reading from the variable. Then you should go ahead. When you hit the dead end, you should go back. That is the way you are supposed to read. If you ask, sir, what do you mean by this? Read it yourself like this: p is a integer. That is the way you have to read it. I am just writing it here for your reference. You should read it like this: p is a integer. This is the way you have to read it. Pictorially, I can represent it like this: p is a integer. Which integer is there, sir, inside p? If you will ask, which integer is there? You have not told. If you are told equal to 5, then 5 would be present. If you are told equal to 50, then 50 would be present. You have not told anything, so in general I have written it as int. All said and done. As a student, you have to understand that whenever there is a declaration statement, you should always begin from the variable, go ahead. When you hit the dead end, you should get back. Based on that, I have told you p is a integer. That is the way you should be reading it. Similarly, if in case I will give you one more declaration statement like this, one more declaration statement. According to your style of reading, you would read it as int p of 5. But it really doesn't make any sense. What is that int p of 5? What sense does it make? Then how to read it, sir? Like this you should read. I told you, begin from the name, go ahead till you hit the dead end. Semicolon is the dead end. Once you hit it, you have to get back. That is what I have told you. So based on that technique, if you read it, p is a array of 5 integers. That is the way you should be reading it. I'll just write it for your reference. You should read it as p is an array of 5 integers. That is how you have to read it as. The moment you read it like this, writing the diagram is so simple. See, p is an array of 5 integers. It makes sense. If you will foolishly read this as int p of 5, what sense does it make? What diagram does it give you at the back of your mind? There is an art to read the declaration statements. That is what I am going to teach you through a series of examples. Say, supposing I have one more declaration statement, int star p. I have just read it out the way you read it. Int star p. That is not the way you have to read. As I have told you, you should always begin from here, go ahead. When you hit the dead end, you should get back. But in this problem, I think some of you will have an issue. Sir, we understood, sir. We will start from here. we will go ahead. When we hit the dead end, we should get back. Where should we get back? Should we get completely back to int, or should we go to star and then go to int? That could be a doubt in your mind. Remember one thing, when you have to get back, don't completely go off first time only to that last thing. Don't go off. Step by step you have to get back. What I mean to say is like this: p is a pointer to a integer. Like that you have to get back. In other words, as I have told, p is a pointer to an integer. This is the way that you can be actually writing it. Pictorially, if you'll ask me, like this: p is a pointer to a integer. So simple. I know. What is a pointer, sir? You may ask. What is a pointer? I will tell you. But first, at least you have now understood how to read the declaration statements. I know pointer is one topic which has probably confused you in the past, and where there is no clarity even currently. Probably. Don't worry about it. Certainly by the time I finish 2-3 more lectures, pointers would become a child's play for you. But at least now the declaration you are able to read correctly. I would just proceed further and I would give you one more declaration: int star star p. That is the way you read it, int star star p. Nothing really can be understood. Int star star p means what? Whereas if you read it using my style, p is a pointer to a integer. The moment I tell like that, already diagram is coming to your mind. P is a pointer to a integer. In other words, I'll just write it. P is a pointer to a pointer to an integer. In other words, p is a pointer to a pointer to an integer. That is what it means. Some of you may be thinking that, sir, when to use a pointer, sir? When to use a pointer to pointer, sir? You may be thinking, why are you worrying about what is a pointer, when to use a pointer, when to use a pointer to pointer? Don't worry about that. Certainly I will tell you as to what you should be using. Here the focus is not on pointers, the focus is on reading the declaration statements. First, now let us focus on only reading the declaration statements. When the time arrives, I will certainly tell you as to what pointer completely stands for. In fact, in this video itself, I would be speaking about it. Similarly, sometimes we use int star 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 p. I think by now all of you know. P is a pointer to a pointer to a pointer to an integer. That is the way it is. P is a pointer to a pointer to a pointer to an integer. That is what it means. In other words, pictorially like this: p is a pointer to a pointer to a pointer to an integer. This is what it means. Oh, okay, sir. Now we are getting some confidence when it comes to reading declaration statements. What next, sir? You may ask. Next, in case I give it like this: int star p of 5. If I will give it like this, here pointer is also there, array is also there. According to your style of reading, it is int star p of 5. Nothing you can understand through that, int star p of 5. According to my style of reading, this is what it is. P is a array of 5 pointers to integers. That is the way you should read it. Very simple. I told you, always start from here, go ahead. When you hit the dead end, step by step get back. That is what I have told you. Based on that only I am reading. P is a array of 5 pointers to integers. I'll just write it here for you. P is an array of 5 pointers to integers. That is what it means. Sir, pictorially how does it look, sir? You only see. P is a array of 5 pointers to integers. This is how it looks pictorially. When should we use this in programming, sir? Later I will tell you when to use it. But at least now declaration you are reading. Probably 5 minutes back, without telling you the technique, if in case I had given this declaration, 100% you would have got scared by looking at the declaration itself. But now at least you have the confidence of reading the declaration statements. That is important. Say supposing I will write it like this: int star star p of 5, just in case I write it like this. Then what is it, sir, if you will ask? P is a array of 5 pointers to integer. That is what it means. So if I will have to write it, P is an array of 5 pointers to integers. That is what it means. Pictorially, see, P is an array of 5 pointers to integers. That is what it means. Of course, no interviewer is going to ask you to write the diagram and all that. I am just writing it so that you realize as to how it looks like. Where to use it, I will tell you where to use it. Similarly, just in case I have int star p of 5, if I have it like this. I know some of you would be thinking, sir, int star p of 5 you have already given, sir. Why are you giving again? You may be thinking. Please notice, if in case I have brackets like this. Remember, here bracket is not there, here bracket is there. But according to your style of reading, this is also int star p of 5, this is also int star p of 5. According to your style of reading, both are same, but in reality both are not same. Oh, then how is this different, sir? You may ask. Always remember, in mathematics and in programming, if you see brackets, first you should finish that. Because all of you in your school days have learnt about BODMAS, BODMAS, BODMAS rule. In that, BO means brackets off, means take off the bracket, or in other words, finish the work that is there in brackets. After that, you do division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. That is what is the meaning of BODMAS. Brackets off means first finish the work in the bracket. After that, DMAS means division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. I am not here to teach mathematics certainly, but that BODMAS rule that holds good in mathematics holds good here as well. That first bracket we have to finish. What I mean to say is, like in the previous case, you went off ahead. P is a array you told off. But now P is a array. I can't tell because I am forced to complete the bracket first. Hence, I should read this as P is a pointer. Like that I have to read. Some of you may tell, sir, you told us to go ahead. Now you are only coming back and reading it as P is a pointer. Yes, I am 100% coming back and reading it as P is a pointer because I first have to finish the bracket. That's why. Of course, after finishing the bracket, if I go back, then it is a mistake. I have to go ahead, and when I hit the dead end, then I should come back. So all said and done, first finish the bracket, then go ahead. When you hit the dead end, come back. Based on that, I am reading. Pay attention. P is a pointer to an array of 5 integers. That is the way you have to read it. That is what I am telling here. P is a pointer. So bracket part is over. P is a pointer to an array. To an array of 5. Because you hit the dead end, get back, of 5 integers. This is what I would be telling. If you ask me, sir, write it pictorially, I am writing it here. See, P is a pointer to an array of 5 integers. That is what it is pictorially. Now, some of you, this you will read it as int star p of 5. This also you will read it as int star p of 5. According to you, both are same. This is also int star p of 5. This is also int star p of 5. But you only think this int star p of 5 is actually this, whereas this int star p of 5 is actually this. Certainly they are different. If you don't know the art of reading declarations, then you may feel that both are same. In fact, in both nothing you would have actually understood. Int star p of 5, int star p of 5. You should read this as p is a array of 5 pointers to integers, whereas this you should read it as p is a pointer. Correct, p is a pointer to an array of 5, to an array of 5 integers. That is how you should be reading it. Just one last thing I am going to give, because there is no space left on the board anymore. In case I have int star star p of 5, in case I have it like this. Again, I know some of you will tell, sir, here also int star star p of 5, here also int star star p of 5. Correct, if I will put brackets. Certainly this declaration, if I had given 10 minutes ago, you all would have, just by looking at this, got afraid that, oh, what is this declaration? But now at least you know the manner in which you have to proceed for reading it. And I think most of you would be able to 80-90% guess also as to what it is correctly. Notice, start from this, but momentarily get back, because I have to finish the bracket. After which go ahead, and when you hit the dead end, step by step get back. That is all that you have to do. So p is a pointer to an array of 5 pointers to integers. That is how you should be reading it. So I repeat, p is a pointer. Correct. So the bracket part is over. P is a pointer to an array, of 5. If you go ahead, you will hit dead end. So pointers to integers. Pointers to integers. This is what I can tell. Pictorially, if you ask me, like this I can tell. P is a pointer to an array of 5 pointers to integers. Very simple. I know quite a few examples I have given. I think at the end of this, all of you are now confident of reading any declaration that they give. Normally for a fresher in placement papers, I don't think they'll go beyond this. But I will just go one step beyond and tell you about pointers to functions as well. You can have pointers pointing to functions also. I will just quickly speak about it, because there is no space left on the board. I may have to erase this. You can quickly copy it. Okay. Now I would proceed further And now whatever I am going to tell, make sure that you are concentrating and understanding it. I hope all the declarations that I had written on the board, now all of you are quite confident about all these declarations. In fact, not only this declaration, any declaration given, you have an idea as to how to solve it. In fact, the thing is that in the placement papers, particularly in the aptitude round, they would not just ask you the question, they will also give you answers. Only thing is they will give you 4 answers, out of which one is correct you have to mark. With the knowledge that you have, easily you can make out which is correct. You would be able to easily answer when such questions come in the aptitude round. Anyway, now all of you know about functions. I have spoken about functions in length when I discussed the strings videos. So maybe 3 or 4 functions I would write. Pay attention. Maybe exmp1 is one function which accepts 2 integers as the parameter. In the body what is there I don't know. Its return type is void, just assume. This is one function. This is another function, exmp. It accepts one integer and one float as the parameter. Body something is there, I am not interested in this. And maybe the return type is float. Assume I have exmp type one more function which accepts an integer pointer and an integer, and maybe it is going to return an integer pointer. So 3 different functions I have written. All of you know this represents what is the input to the function, this represents what is the output from the function. You know that. Now for this function, this is one function. For this function, I would like to create one pointer p. I would like to create. So remember, this pointer is not pointing to data. Rather, this pointer is pointing to a function. How to declare it, sir? If you will ask me, watch it. Star p, you should put brackets and brackets like this. Whenever you have like this 2 pairs of brackets, then such a pointer is what we call as pointer to function. Even previously you had seen, but only 1 pair of bracket was there previously. Simple bracket, only 1 pair was there. For the first time I have written 2 pairs. So p is a pointer, because Bodmas rule, p is a pointer, that is over. Next, go ahead. So p is a pointer to a function. Which type of function? That type of function which accepts 2 integers. That is what I am telling here. It is a function which accepts 2 integers. And what does it return? It returns void. Void means nothing. It returns void. Like this you have to declare the pointer. If you have to make this pointer to point to the function. So how to read it, sir? Very simple. I have told you the Bodmas rule. P is a pointer to a function. And that function is such a function that it accepts 2 integers as the parameter and it returns void. For a student who doesn't know about reading the declaration statements, again when he looks at that declaration, he will get completely confused as to, oh, what is this? But a fellow who has attended ABC lecture is way above such normal students. He knows clearly as to how to read it. That is the reason why so many companies line up in front of ABC to recruit our students. Anyway, now this is another function. Say, maybe I want to make one pointer q to point to this function. I hope already you have an idea as to how to declare. Certainly this q is also pointer to function only. So see, q is a pointer to a function. And what type of a function is it pointing to? It is pointing to such a function which accepts one integer and one float as the parameter, and it is such a function which returns float. Like this you have to declare the pointer. I hope all of you are able to understand it. What is the difficulty? I think on the same lines you would agree even for this as well. This is one function. Maybe I want one pointer r to point to this. Now already you have got an idea, so easily you would be able to tell that r is a pointer to a function. What type of function is it pointing to? It is pointing to such a function which is accepting integer pointer as one of the parameters, integer as another parameter, and it is returning integer pointer as one of the parameters. So simple. If you ask me, sir, can you write it in words? I will write it. All of you pay attention. I will write it. P is a pointer because of Bodmer's rule. So P is a pointer to a function, which accepts, that function, you know, it accepts two integers and returns void. That is how you have to read this statement. Similarly, if you ask me this one also, Q is a pointer because of Bodmer's rule. Q is a pointer. After that, go ahead to a function, which accepts an integer and float, as parameters, and returns float. That is how you read that statement. Same is the case here also. R is a pointer to a function which accepts. What does it, which accepts? Don't read it as integer pointer, I have told you. Which accepts, you can tell it as integer pointer, or which accepts pointer to integer. And an integer as parameter and returns, after hitting dead end, step by step. So, and returns pointer to integer. You can tell it like this. I hope, given any declaration now, all of you would be able to read the declaration. Though you don't know what a pointer is, still you can read every declaration related to pointer. Such an irony. But this irony won't last long. Certainly the next thing that I'll have to tell you is what is a pointer. Something which probably is not clear at all. It will become clear in the next 10 minutes. Please be quick. So now I will continue further and explain to you as to what a pointer is. I normally don't declare, I don't dictate notes, but then here I expect you to copy whatever I am telling. When you copy, you won't understand anything. But after 10 minutes of my explanation, I will ask you to read the same notes that I would be dictating now. You would have understood everything. So, take down. Pointers provide an alternative method to access the contents of a memory location. This is a mature answer, you know. In the interviews, when they will ask you what is a pointer, very often students will tell that for some definition. A pointer is a variable which holds the address of another variable. Correct, it holds the address, but what is the use? That is the point. So you can also tell here, it is a variable. You add that also, don't miss out that. It is a variable which holds the address of another variable. It is a variable which holds the address of another variable. In the next paragraph, take down. The contents of a memory location can be accessed using two methods. The contents of a memory location can be accessed using two methods. First one, direct method. Second, indirect method. In bracket, pointer method. In bracket, pointer method. Now take down first method. In bracket, there is nothing but direct method. In this method, name of the memory location, name of the memory location is accessed. Name of the memory location is specified. Name of the memory location is specified, and hence the contents of the memory location would be accessed. And hence the contents of memory location would be accessed. And hence contents of memory location would be accessed. Right. This is as far as the first method. Next, below that, second method. In bracket, pointer method or indirect method. This method involves three steps. This method involves three steps. First point, creation of a pointer. Creation of a pointer. In bracket, you know, write it as dangling pointer. D-A-N-G-L-I-N-G. Dangling pointer. Second point, making the dangling pointer a specific pointer. Making the dangling pointer a specific pointer by assigning to it an address. By assigning to it an address. By assigning to it an address. Third point, dereferencing. Dereferencing. the specific pointer, dereferencing the specific pointer, and hence accessing the contents of a memory location, right. Whatever I have given, I know that it is not clear, but then it will become clear after me speaking for about 10 minutes. Then when you look back, everything would be clear. Just listen to whatever I am saying carefully. See, if in case, this is my first method of accessing something, this is my second method of accessing something. If in case I declare int a equal to 5, just in case I declare like this, all of you know int a means in the computer's memory for a 2 bytes would be getting allocated. This is 1 byte, this is another byte. 2 bytes would be getting allocated. Why to show like this? I would just show like this. Memory is allocated. You have to store 5 in this. I told you, in computer's memory, always data is stored in the binary format. Remember, in Java, for an int, 4 bytes would be allocated. But in C language, if you tell int, 2 bytes would be allocated. Actually, in C language, it is OS dependent. In Windows OS, for C, 2 bytes would be allocated. In Unix, for int, 4 bytes would be allocated. But let us not go into it. Int means let us consider it as 2 bytes. In that, if you tell to keep 5, 5 I can't keep, because bytes are made up of bits. Bits can hold only zeros and ones. So actually, it will be like this: 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. This is only 5. Like this, data would have got stored. Now I want to access that data. To access this data only, 2 techniques are there. What are the 2 techniques, sir? You may ask. One technique which you already know. If you want to access this, very easily you will tell of print in the decimal format whatever is there in A. Like this you will tell. This is one of the ways in which you will access. This is what you have been doing all these days. What you are telling the computer, there is one memory location called as A, means this one. In that, data is in the binary form. Please convert it to the decimal form and print it. You are asking. In which case it will come, it will see this, it will print it in the decimal form. Output comes as 5. In other words, you have accessed the contents. How did you access this contents? By specifying the name of the memory location. A is the name of the memory location. By specifying the name, you got access to the contents. This is what is the first method. Now read that first method. Don't read the second method that I dictated. Read that first method. What have I told? First method, direct method. We can access the contents of the memory location by specifying the name of the memory location. That is what I have told you. That is what you have been doing all these days. However, there is an alternative way also to access the contents. That is what is the second method. Now, don't read that second method. Close your book and listen to whatever I am saying. Say, supposing I will tell int a equal to 5. Then obviously for me, in the computer's memory, 2 bytes like this would be getting allocated. In this, 5 will be stored as 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 1. It will be stored. Now I want to access this by the indirect method. But indirect method involves 3 steps. First step, creation of a pointer. How, sir? You know, like this, int star p. This is the way we create a pointer. Sir, have we created the pointer? 100%. Read. I have taught you the technique of reading. Read it. We never read it as int star p. What will we read it as? P is a pointer to a integer. That is what we read it as. P is a pointer to an integer. So see, like this, P is a pointer which is pointing to an integer. Which integer is P pointing to? Some of you may think that P is pointing to A. Please understand, where have you told P to point to A? You are only telling here that P is such a pointer which is pointing to an integer. That is all that you have told. You have still not told that it is pointing to A. Where is it pointing, sir? I don't know. Where P is pointing, I don't know. To whom P is pointing, I don't know. It is dangling at this stage. It is dangling. That is what I called as a dangling pointer. Now many students, they think star P is a pointer. They think star P is not a pointer. P is only pointer. You are only telling. Are you telling star P is a pointer? What are you reading this as? P is a pointer to an integer. So who is the pointer? P, not star P. Then what is star doing here, sir? You may ask. Star is telling that P is not an ordinary variable, rather P is a pointer. That is what star is telling. If I take out this star, then P becomes ordinary integer variable. If I put this star, then this star is telling that P is not an ordinary variable, rather P is a pointer. First mistake which the student does, he feels star P is the pointer. Star P is not the pointer. In the diagram, see, have I written star P? No. P is the pointer. So P is the pointer, not star P. Star there is only telling that P is not a normal variable, rather it's a pointer. That is what it is telling. Anyway, I have created the pointer by using the star operator. But it is dangling at this stage. You should make it specific. You should tell pointer, point to A, you should tell. How? Like this. Address of A you give to the pointer. Because your teachers in the first sem had told pointer is a variable which holds the address of another variable. In fact, that definition also I have given you. So the moment you give the address of A to P, now P is not dangling anymore. Clearly you have instructed that address of A if you give to P, it means that now P is pointing to A. That is the meaning of it. Now P is pointing to A. It's no more dangling. But it will be pointing to the border. It has still not penetrated inside. If you penetrate it inside, then you would get access to the data. You will get access to the data. How to penetrate, sir? Inside, you may ask. Like this, print in the decimal format star P. Like this I will tell. Now here is where confusion. Star stands for penetration. So in reality what you are telling here is penetrate P. When you penetrate P, whatever you will get, convert it to the decimal format and print it. That is what you are telling. So obviously, I repeat, penetrate the pointer P. So penetrate it. In the binary it is there. Convert to decimal and print it. Obviously, when you ask like this, output is going to be 5. Now, for beginners, full confusion now. What are you telling, sir? Here one star you put, you told this star is creating a pointer. Here one star you put, you told this star is penetrating the pointer. Sir, is star used to create a pointer or is star used to penetrate a pointer? We are unable to understand. Moreover, we know one star which is used for multiplication. What is this, sir? What will star do in C language, sir? Is star used in C language to create a pointer, sir? Or is star used in C language for multiplication, sir? Or is star used in C language for penetration, sir? For what sake star is used? Correctly tell us. For us all stars only know, you may tell. Please listen. Star is used for all 3 purposes. In C language, it is used for all 3 purposes. Probably this is one mistake which Dennis Ritchie committed. He should have used one operator for one purpose. Then confusion wouldn't have arisen. He used of star to perform 3 different activities. If the teacher doesn't clarify, then a student, would get completely confused by looking at stars. 100% this star is pointer creation operator. whereas this star is penetration operator. How will we come to know, sir? You may ask. Correct, it's a valid point, you know. How will we come to know? Listen, how you will come to know, I am telling you. Normally, we write a program like this. Normally, this is our program, assume. We write it like this, hash include stdio.h. Next we write void main. So many examples, so many programs we have written. And then a few declaration statements will be there. Like int a is a declaration statement, float b is a declaration statement, char c is a declaration statement. Why I call these statements as declaration statement is because these statements are beginning with data types. A statement is something which ends with a semicolon. If you look at this statement, it is beginning with a data type. This is also beginning with data type. This statement also beginning with data type. Any statement which begins with data type, that we call it as declaration statement. I hope all of you now understood what declaration statement is. Now, I have written say int star p, like this I have written say. First of all, tell me, is this declaration statement or is this executable statement? How can we tell, sir, if you'll ask? Simple. If it is beginning with data type, if these are declaration statements, then this is also declaration statement only, because even that is also beginning with a data type. In other words, in the declaration statement, if star comes, treat that star, whatever star is there here, you know, treat it as pointer creation operator. You should treat it as pointer creation operator. Please understand this. When you look at a star, how can I come to know whether it is doing pointer creation or multiplication or penetration? How will I come to know, sir? If you'll ask, I am telling you how you can identify. This is how you can identify. If in the declaration statement star comes, then it means that it is a pointer creation operator. In other words, this star is creating a pointer called as p. That is the meaning. Of course, it is creating a dangling pointer because I have still not given any address. Okay, sir. We understood, sir. Next what, sir? You may ask. Please understand. After this, normally, you know, I used to write clear screen. So from clear screen onwards, below whatever I used to write, they are called as executable statements. So please understand, these statements which begin with a data type, they are called as declaration statements. Whereas below this, whatever I write, they are only called as executable statements. Executable statements, they are called as. Now, many lines you may have in these executable statements. Maybe you have something like, you know, some statement you have. Maybe x is equal to y star z. Like this you have assumed. Now, don't ask me, sir, x and y you have not declared at all. I am not writing the full program. I am just trying to tell you the three ways in which a star may appear in the program. First of all, when you look at this, there is no confusion at all as to what this star is doing. Can you guess what is that star doing? Obviously, it is multiplying. First of all, is this declaration or is this executable statement? 100% this is executable statement because it is not beginning with a data type. If it begins with a data type, that is only called declaration. If it doesn't begin with data type, it is called executable. So it is an executable statement where star has two operands. Whenever star comes with two operands, then that is nothing but multiplication star. So this star that you are seeing, that is multiplication operator. This is multiplication operator. Oh, okay, sir. What about the other star, sir? You may ask. Maybe I am continuing in the program, and somewhere I have told a equal to star p. Like this I have told. Assume. This is the end of our program. Now, for a fellow who understands things, first thing you should understand, is this star pointer creation? No, it's not pointer creation. Why? It may appear like this, but it's not pointer creation operator because it is not a declaration statement. Correct, sir. It is not pointer creation because it is not a declaration statement. It is not beginning with data type. It is executable statement. So 100% this star is not pointer creation operator. Okay. What is the next alternative? Is it multiplication? It is not multiplication because for star only one operand is there. Here for star two operands were there. So multiplication. Here for star only one operand is there. Some of you may tell, sir, where one operand? For star P is one operand, A is another operand. Certainly A is not the operand for star. In other words, for star, this side you can see no operand at all. This side only one operand is there. So in the executable part of the program, if in case you get a star with a single operand, then what will you read that star as? You should read this star as dereferencing operator. Dereferencing operator. This dereferencing and all that is hi-fi English. In simple English, we read it as penetration operator. We read it as penetration operator. That is what we read it as. Dereferencing is nothing but penetrating. How to read this line, you know? I have told you, assignment is always right to left associative. So how to read it, you know? Penetrate the pointer P. So P is pointing somewhere, penetrate it. Whatever you will get, give it to A. That is the meaning of it. This is the way in which star can appear in a C program. All the occurrences of star I have shown. Why confusion? If in the declaration statement star comes, then you must understand that it is not doing any multiplication, it is not doing any penetration, it is creating a new pointer. In this case, P is the new pointer. Again, don't think star P is the pointer. P is the pointer. Star is telling that P is not ordinary variable, rather P is a pointer. In other words, star is the pointer creation operator in this case. Clearly in this, you come to know that it is multiplication operator. In this, it is not a declaration statement, so it is penetration operator. A student who understands the language correctly, he won't get any doubt. Why will he get a doubt? Of course, Dennis Ritchie should have taken extra care. What I mean to say is, for multiplication, he could have used star. For creation, instead of star, you know, maybe he could have used something like dollar, he could have used for pointer creation. Similarly, for penetration, you know, instead of star, maybe he could have used some other symbol. If you notice, this caret symbol would be there. Maybe he could have used that symbol. Now, I am just telling you, of course, me or you can't change C language. It is Dennis Ritchie who has given us, and we just have to use it. But what I am trying to tell you is, if in case he had used 3 different operators for 3 different purposes, then none of you would have got confused. The mistake he did was, he used same operator for multiple activities. He did it, but your teachers, they also didn't clarify it. So the point I want you to understand is that star is used for pointer creation. Star is used for multiplication. Star is used for penetration. Star is performing multiple activities, but an experienced fellow will understand. An experienced fellow will understand as to what is the role played by star. By looking at the statement itself, he will understand. Now, I will get back to my program. In my program, I have used 2 stars. Previously, when I wrote it, maybe you are not that confident. Now, you only look at this statement. What type of statement is this? Declaration. Then what is this star doing? Pointer creation. Who is the pointer it is creating? P is the pointer that it is creating. This P pointer only it has created. Of course, when it created, it was not pointing to A. It was dangling. Later, I told the pointer, point to A, I told, by giving the address of A. And then, this star, 100% it is not pointer creation star. 100% it is not multiplication star. All of you know, it is penetration. How to read it? Penetrate P. And remember, when you penetrate P, don't think it goes only to this location. When you penetrate full A, it will access. Penetrate it. and whatever you will get in the binary, convert it to decimal and print it. So naturally when you do it, 5 only you will get. This is what I dictated and told you. I can access the contents of a memory location using two methods. First method, direct method. Second method, indirect method or pointer method. In the first method, by mentioning the name of the memory location, I was able to access the contents. However, the second method involves 3 steps. Creation of a pointer. When you create it is dangling. Secondly, converting the dangling pointer to a specific pointer by assigning to it an address. Here I have assigned the address of A, and hence P's dangling nature I have avoided, and I have made it to point to a variable. But when you point it, it will always be at the border. In order to access the data, you should penetrate. That is what is the third step, dereferencing the pointer, or in other words, penetrating the pointer. Through this method also we can access the location's contents. Now read that theory that I have given you. I hope every word in that theory is clear now. Of course, all said and done, if I will ask you which is a good method, first method or second method, 100% all of you will tell, sir, first is only easy. Correct, first is only easy, but that first method does not work in all circumstances in programming. As a student who is willing to get into the industry and do some serious coding, he has to know the direct method also, and if direct method doesn't work, you should know alternative method also. In real life also it is applicable, here also it is applicable. If something you can't get directly, you should also know the techniques of getting it indirectly. I'm just telling it on a lighter note. The point is simple. As a student, you have to have skills about accessing the location in both methods. Sir, what is not possible in direct, which is possible in the indirect, sir? What is bad about direct, sir? What is very good about indirect, sir? Because we are noticing that direct is so simple, indirect is very complex, but you are telling indirect is really going to help us, because direct under certain circumstances will fail, but indirect will never fail. It will always give us access, you are telling. Can you give us one example, sir, where direct method fails and indirect method works? Can you give one example? Why one example? All examples after this that I am going to give on pointers will prove to you as to why pointers is so useful. Maybe in this video I have not spoken about the usability of pointers. The use of pointers, advantages of pointers I am not telling you. I just had to clarify that pointers provide an alternative method to access the contents of a memory location. That is what I wanted you to understand. Sir, is it going to work, sir? You may be asking. 100% it would be working. I would just quickly demonstrate it for you. Notice. Now, here the indirect method has been shown. If I can first see the direct method. See, this is our direct method where I have declared it and I am printing by using the name of the memory location. Watch it. When I will compile, no issues. When I will execute, I have got the output as 5. This is one way. Another way of getting it, I have to go to the other program, that is the indirect program. Just keep noticing the indirect way of accessing it. This is the indirect version where I have created the pointer, I have assigned to it an address, and I am penetrating the pointer. Now if I will execute it, when I compile, no issues. When I will access it, again 5 is what I am getting. I hope all of you have been able to understand this. You can quickly copy whatever is there on the board. I think your knowledge on pointers has certainly increased from what it was before listening to this video. It's not that everything is clear. There could be a few doubts. I don't contest the fact that there wouldn't be any doubts. There could be a few doubts, but please understand, we are just starting. If there are no doubts, really good. If you have doubts, then wait for our next video, next video, next video. By the time I finish pointers videos, 100% there won't be even an iota of doubt in your mind. Anyway, I hope all of you have been able to understand everything that I have told in this video. In the next video, I am going to tell you as to why that indirect method is important. I am going to give you an example in which the direct method doesn't help us. We will fail miserably if we use the direct method. But the indirect method, that is the pointer method, helps us. And then I think you would start respecting the pointers even more than what you are doing now. Thank you very much.